Alright, so for those of you just tuning in, my name is Resonance22, and welcome to a 2 versus 2 1800 plus rated game in Aoe2 HD Edition on the brand new patch 5.8. With patch 5.8, we've got a bunch of new balance changes. As of this recording, it's in the beta, and we're going to test it out, and I'm going to give you all my first impressions on the changes. Now, keep in mind the beta just came out today, so I haven't had a chance yet to play with these changes, nor really have any of these players. But the players in this game are of an immensely high skill level, so this should be an excellent game indeed. And ooh, what a selection of civilizations we have here today. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into the game and introduce the players. We've got the Ukko playing as the Purple Koreans, and we have him teaming up with Pete, who will be playing as the Teal Turks. On the opposing team, we have Grazini playing as the Red Vietnamese, and Lyson playing as the Blue Goths. Hopefully you all have been enjoying the community games mixed in there with the miscellaneous expert games. The plan is to upload this specific match after I upload a patch 5.7 expert gamecast. That way we can see a little bit of a preview of how the metagame might shift for the future. Hopefully you all enjoy that. The goal is to have content on my channel for everyone of all skill levels, and to make sure that you're always learning something from my commentary. So, your feedback is really appreciated, especially for the support I do for games beyond just Aoe2. As it allows me to continue doing community games like this 8 years after the fact. So, we're in here. Thank you so much, JRU, for your 17-month sub, and Lone Star for following the live stream. Let's take a look at these patch notes for a minute here, and go over them step by step, and I will take these off the screen in just a moment as I realize it's probably hideous. So, Elephant Archer change. Right off the bat, these are just my first impressions. I would be more than happy to do a video later that actually talks about the changes in depth and more of an analysis. Elephant Archer change. To me, this feels like it's a good change because it's much more intuitive. The Elephant Archer should be weaker to things that have a bonus versus Cavalry Archers. So I like this change. I feel like it's a little bit more intuitive. I think that the Elephant Archer needs to have negative armor versus these anti-archer type units. I feel like it does. Or when massed up, it becomes far too obnoxious, and it's the type of unit, it's very feast or famine. It's the Indians' unique unit. It's either too strong or it takes too long to get out, but once it gets rolling, it's unstoppable. If you want to see that in action, please search on my channel for some Indians gameplay. I've got plenty of Indians Elephant Archers gameplay that you can actually find for yourself if you're interested. I'm actually going to shrink the size of this down ever so slightly so it doesn't block all of the screen. Alright, and now we've got the Eagle Scout thing, so that's actually a bug fix. I assume by default that we had already fixed that. So, I think that's a good change. Let's see. And then we have a bunch of bug fixes here for full tech games. Alright, some miscellaneous bug fixes. The Galleon's attack sound plays now, it's great. Fix the issue with buildings placed on desert cracked terrain not receiving bonus damage when attacked. Does anyone remember when African Kingdoms came out and I released all those civilization overview videos? And that the cracked sand, since that was one of the expansions I worked on, was one of the major terrain features of the expansion, and didn't actually work. But we fixed it! Huzzah! Cracked sand now works! I'm not sure if I want a more aggressive metagame, though. I really don't think I do. Considering that the massive nerfs to building HP and walls over the years have resulted in a very aggressive tower rush-oriented game. So that makes me a little extra scared of maps like Serengeti, for example. But it's an interesting change nonetheless. I mean, it's one that needed to work, and it will be nice for map editors. The Hunting Dog change is a bug fix because that tech doesn't exist in the game anymore. Villagers and towers do reduced bonus damage versus walls before the Castle Age. Well, that's a little vague. That's an interesting change. So you might be thinking, why? Well, the current metagame right now in patch 5.7 is Tower Rush City. You've been watching the ECL VODs, some of which are on my channel, so I definitely recommend checking those out as well. Then you probably haven't seen Super Tower Rush City, and that's because we got a bit of a preview of this patch. Just a bit of a preview. However, the Tower Rush is so strong due to the fact that again, buildings and walls got nerfed a ton. So defensive play is, generally speaking, quite weak now compared to how it used to be. And that's not something I'm a huge fan of. I feel like that change has had a bunch of unforeseen repercussions on the metagame. And we're only now really starting to see the effects of it come into play. And one of them is the tower rush. So, villagers and towers doing reduced bonus damage versus walls where the castle age is supposed to be a direct nerf, I believe, to the tower strategy, as players would usually try and build walls to try and defend against that, but the fact that villagers do, I believe it's +6 attack damage versus stone walls, and +3 versus buildings, and these modifiers ignore they actually ignore armor, so they're always doing a ton of damage to walls. I think it's a minimum of 10, but I have to double check on that. At least that's what it used to be. So this is an interesting way to nerf the tower rush and make walls a little bit better, because the walls have half HP in the feudal age. Interesting change. I would really like to know what the actual value is, as it really doesn't do me much good without knowing what the specific value is. Interesting change. Oh, it looks like they reduced the attack bonus versus walls to 3. So they cut in half from 6 to 3. Interesting. I think that's going to make a decent impact on the metagame. I think that's probably a good change. Watchtowers, guard towers, and keeps cost plus 25 wood, I think, is a good change as well. I'm actually going to move this to the other side, because I feel like it just blocks too much stuff. So, Watchtowers, guard towers, and keeps cost plus 25 wood. This is a change I'm not a huge fan of, because I feel like it has a sort of ripple effect on the metagame that we haven't really seen yet either, in that it also nerfs defensive towers, and once again, I think that I think the defensive play got nerfed very, very hard. And this makes it harder to build defensive watchtowers as well as offensive ones. I think that this is probably a healthy change for the game, but it feels to me almost like a band-aid fix for a much broader issue. Like, we're really... what is it? I feel like we're addressing the... the symptoms, not the underlying cause of the metagame problems that we're seeing here with the change like this. As well as the villagers and towers do reduced bonus damage versus walls. Maybe it will end up being perfect, but I feel like this isn't addressing the root cause. This is also going to force me to make some changes to ResonanceBot. That's quite unfortunate. But I don't think this will kill defensive towers, and it's definitely targeted more at a tower rush because your economy is going to be weaker for that. Siege tower collision size, I don't like that unit's in the game because I feel like it's just a win more unit. It's very situational. And when it's good, there's no counterplay, and when it's not good, it's useless. But it is oddly useful as a counter unit. Pete going for Scout Rush. Interesting, interesting. I will be giving my commentary throughout this game too as well, and going back to answer any questions. A good way to ask me questions is to send me a Streamlabs notification of some kind. It's a good way to get my attention. Okay, moving down the list. Oh yeah, Teuton's Steam bonus no longer overrides Faith. That's nice. That's for post-im start. Coinage and banking moved up in age, means that I have to rely on everyone's support on Patreon because I'm gonna have to, well, I already do. That's what keeps the channel going and allows me to do this stream today and continue producing AoE content, so thank you so much for those of you who are able to pledge a couple bucks. If we can all pledge a couple bucks, I can update ResonanceBot because I need to make some serious changes to a ton of code that is based around coinage and banking. Did not expect them to move them up in age. I think that's a good change for the game because slinging is the biggest balance issue in classic AOC. Definitely. I think it's a good change, but it definitely messes with scenarios, and it completely destroys my AI, so I actually have to take a lot of time to sit down and do a major overhaul of its code base because of this. And I don't have time to do that, so any sort of support is appreciated as far as like not using ad block at a bare minimum, sharing my videos around, following me on social media, everything helps. But crap, I have to update ResonanceBot. That sucks. I would have rather them done some other sort of change to the text than moving them up an age. That kills so many rules. The Courier's nerf is interesting because Courier's itself... Yeah, you guys have seen the changes on the screen long enough. I can probably take them down now that the action's starting. So, the Courier's change is interesting. Costs... the cost nerf is pretty significant. I would say that it puts it in line a little bit more with texts like Garland Wars and El Dorado, the unique text for the Aztecs and Mayans. And Courier's is undoubtedly really strong technology. So good little quick wall off here, by the way, for both players, making sure that they are immune to each other's scout rushes. Pete will not be able to get in, but it looks like Lyson will be able to get into his base, pick up a villager. Nice, nice, nice. I think this Courier's nerf is pretty significant. An extra 400 gold is huge, but perhaps the tech deserves it. I'd much rather them increase the cost like they did than nerf the tech itself. But yeah, because I think that the tech is what keeps the, one of the many things that keeps the Incas viable. So I like that. Italians fishing ships, bonus reduced to 15% from 20%. Small nerf, I think they deserved it. It's fine. May receive Arbalest upgrade. I think they'll help them a bit. I think their tech tree is a little oddly limited. I think they actually need a change like that. They're a civ that's really difficult to balance like the Indians, so you gotta be super careful. So I think it's really funny how similar the two civilizations are, and how one lost Arbalest, the Indians, and then now one gains it. But I do think that this is a significant buff, as the Khmer are all about advancing the ages and skipping requirements, so I feel like they can leverage the Arbalest quite nicely. I do want to know, though, if... can I get siege rams? Gotta check this real fast. They do. Okay, so I can go for that siege ram plus Arbalest build that we usually see. Now, if some things I'm saying are going a little bit over your head, I suggest that you watch some of my videos that you can see in the video description below, my Aoe2 tutorials playlist, where I have a bunch of videos that are tailored towards super new players, but I'll also be going over the game in just a moment. We're almost done with the changes. Right now we're just seeing some hot scout and scout action. I love that. Mayan farmers now we're closer to the speed of other civilizations. That should happen a long time ago. That is a weird side effect of their eco bonus. I like that change. It's good. Elite Arambai now cost an additional 25 wood apiece, making them one of the most expensive non-siege weapon units in the game. Holy moly. That is a huge nerf to them. That is a huge nerf. That's an additional 25 wood per Arambai. That's a house per Arambai. Oh wow, these scouts are going to get in here. Now, Spearman does kill a non-bloodline scout in 3 hits, so Spearman is a good counter here, but Pete, not born yesterday now, but these wrinkles, he's going to do so much economic damage. He's going to slaughter all these villagers, and these 3 are trapped too. This is just on his gold. Oh, guys, I need your help with new emotes. What are some suitable channel memes? I need your help. Leave some comments below. Also, let me know what you think of the patch notes. So, Mine Farmer Bug Fix. This is a Slaughterfest. Oh my god. Good. Elite Arambai nerf. Probably necessary. That unit was too strong. It was too strong. Is this a nerf I would have done to it? I would have much rather that they changed the cost of the way they did rather than nerf the stats. I feel like this is a unit that is, once again, walking the fine line between really broken and unbelievable hot garbage if it happens to have a slight nerf to its stats. I think that the thing that makes the unit so strong is its ability to kite units and then one-shot melee units, as we have seen from plenty of my videos featuring the Arambai, as well as, and if you're not familiar with how the Burmese Arambai works, it's really interesting with its super poor accuracy, I believe, of 25% and 35%. Check out the Burmese Civilization overview. Maybe one of my mods can link that. It's a strong unit. I'd much rather them do this than nerf the stats. I think if they took the attack damage down, for example, I think that might just kill the unit entirely. So at least here the cost is more in line, but that's a massive nerf. So like they're not playing around. I'm always hesitant about nerfs this size. I really am. But I think it's one that might be necessary. Okay. Karambit Warrior costs 5 additional gold and food. Karambit Warrior needed a nerf. The Elite one did, not the Castle Age one. I think it would have gone for the training time, personally. I think this is a good change, though. I mean, it's acceptable change. This is a good engagement here, by the way, for Lyson, because these skirmishers have minimum range, and he's going to get the first strike off. Now, Krazini is going to lose a bunch of his archers, and it's really good, by the way, of Uckle to actually focus fire those down. So nicely done. Nicely done. The use of skirmishers to focus fire those down is great. But it's great to see these players helping each other, like Lyson actually helping Crazini. Now, Crazini's on the offensive. He wants some revenge after losing all of his gold miners, and now he's on Pete's gold! What up? What up, everybody? He's on Pete's gold. This game just went upside down. Crazini twisted the dimensions in the Colosseum. My goodness. So, that Caribou Warrior nerf is probably not the nerf I would have made. I don't know. I mean, I think if you just raise the gold cost by 5, you already increase the opportunity cost of making the unit by so much. I think the 5 food doesn't matter that much. That's a pretty big nerf. We'll see how much of an impact that makes. Vietnamese Archer bonus changed to immediate plus 20% HP to foot archers instead of a staggered effect. Now, this remains to be seen how big of a buff this is, definitely. That's why these have 36 HP, and what Crazini's playing against the Vietnamese this game for a demonstration. Cool change. So this means that they'll live an additional Archer hit in the Feudal Age, but I have to do some testing to see how practical this actually is, because again, it remains to be seen. I think this is a significant buff to their early game. It's something that they needed. It also applies to their skirmishers, by the way, and I like this change a lot. I think it's clever, and I think it's a good way of buffing the civilization without making them super broken. It was something that we were a little bit worried about during testing and design, but I think that this is probably a good change. That free light cav upgrade, by the way, for the Turks coming into play here, oh, that's hot. Oh, it's hot. Oh. Oh, yes. Ah, that's what I like to see. But, meanwhile, the archers are in the wood lines. That's pretty devastating for Pete. Rattan archers, plus 5 HP. Do they need that? I don't know if they needed that. I don't know if that's a weird change. Mixed thoughts on that. I feel like the Rattan Archer got nerfed a little bit too hard during the closed beta testing phases of the game. But, like, I don't know. I think that's an okay change. I mean, the Vietnamese are just an all-over-the-place civilization from a design standpoint. Like, they've got all these anti-archer units and not much else. It's a little strange. I feel like they're really good at beating other archers, and they really, really struggle against, like, heavy cavalry, for example, so that will have an interesting effect. Korean faster building fortification bonus is reduced for towers, similar to how the Spanish building bonus is reduced for wonders. This is a very good change for the game. I don't know how much they reduced it by, I have to check on that, but the Koreans, believe it or not, of which I believe the Ukkel is, somehow on Arabia went from the worst civ ever on Arabia to, like, one of the best civs ever on Arabia, or just in general. This is a huge engagement for Pete, because he's in the Castle Age, and I discussed this in one of my previous uploads, the differences between the ages and game flow, and the Castle Age power spike is absolutely massive, especially if you're the Turks. 20% faster gold mining allows you to go for easier knights, you get that instant power spike as well with the free light cavalry upgrade, so going for a scout rush for them is really, really solid, and here we go, the Turks really leveraging their power, and Crazini's got to get to the Castle Age here. He's in deep trouble. But he is advancing, so that means we are going to see a nice, healthy, long game at Aoe2. I like this, I like this. So the Korean change is probably the best change in the patch log, at least at first glance, because, man, towers are insanely busted, and the faster fortifications, if you don't know what a fortification is, it's because it's a term that we just kind of made up at Forgotten Empires. It applies to, like, what, outposts, towers, castles, walls, etc. So, I don't like the lack of transparency, but I do really like this change. I'm glad they didn't remove it entirely, because it would be inconsistent. And that's why I like the Indian's Elephant Archer change, because it's consistent. I didn't mention this earlier, but the Elephant Archer change is definitely a nerf to the... It's a nerf for them against Camel Archers, interestingly enough. But overall, it's probably not too significant of a change. It's more just gameplay clarity. But it does make them weaker versus Camel Archers. Fascinating. And the final change is Mamelukes receive 5 less bonus damage from Halberdiers. Eh? Why? Did anyone ever think that... Oh, it's because they made it so yeah, that's because they made that really, in my opinion, silly change, the previous patch, to give the Spearmen, Pikemen, and Halberdiers a massive attack bonus versus all camel units, thus nerfing every civ's camels, including the Byzantines and Ethiopians. And if you think that the Byzantines and Ethiopian camels need nerfs, I want to see what Aoe2 you're playing, because that sounds fun. No, it was the Indians that really needed nerfs to the Imperial camel, not all camel civs. Hashtag not all camels. Hashtag not all camels. So I guess this is a consolidation prize. I don't know. Sure, I'll take it. I don't think you'll find anyone that says the Mameluke is a weak unit and they need buffs. If they do, they haven't played enough, I guess, games that go to the late Imperial Ages or any Black Forest at all at a high level. But I'd really like to see the Halberdier change kind of re-looked at. Can't win everything. Now, this small hill here is somewhat significant because the Uggle actually... He's taking 25% less damage and dealing 25% more per hit based on this small tile of hill, which gives Pete just enough time for the cavalry to literally and figuratively arrive. Making Rosini retreat into his town center, which is a great play. We'll see how much free damage he gets to do on these cavalry units as they try to get away. But, ooh, is Pete gonna engage? He's not entirely sure, and the res lag from Aoe2 HD will make it harder for him to make these split-second decisions. But I think he might engage. He's really thinking about it, especially because the Uckle did stay in range, so Pete will now engage and disengage as, ooh, Lyson here with the Huskarls. Now, the Huskarls here, all the archers are dead, so they're not going to be that helpful, but this will scare Pete back a bit, I think. I like that he got the +1 defense, as it will help a lot against crossbowmen as well as resisting town center fire and allow him to do some raiding easier. So now I've gone over all the patch notes. Hopefully you all really enjoyed my first impressions of them. Overall, I think this is a very good patch for the game. I think this is a much better patch than the previous one that we got. I feel like some of the fixes in here are sort of band-aid fixes for a deeper overall metagame problem that we're only going to see manifest more and more and potentially get worse over time, but we'll have to see. Due to the severe nerfs to defensive play, with the building HP being staggered the way it is, like 60% in the Dark Age and 85% in the Feudal Age, as well as stone walls having half HP in the Feudal Age and taking forever to build and also costing more, same thing with the Palisade walls. I think that, you know, we're attacking the symptoms here, not the underlying causes, but this might end up working anyway, and it's interesting. So, but overall, I do think that this is a good patch for the game, and I'm excited for the competitive implications of it, because we should hopefully see things shaken up a bit, and a little bit less Koreans everywhere. I think in a world where... Thank you, Train. In a world where the Koreans are building watchtowers on Arena, in a world where people are trushing on Arena, and it's not break the meta. What are you doing? The Koreans a top tier arena? Arabia pick what? What's going on? No. It's not my Age of Empires. No. So I'm glad that that is fixed. I will go through the chat to answer some questions. Please let me know if you enjoyed my analysis. Whew. That was a long analysis, my friends. It was a long one indeed. Jerry, you asked, what helps you more, increasing Patreon pledge or upgrading sub tier? Patreon pledge, Jay. Thank you so much, by the way, for all of your support. Through your subscription, 17 months, man, means a lot to me, so much to me, as well as gifting subs to people. It really helps out a lot. If any of you have Amazon Prime, you can sub to me for free with Twitch Prime. Helps out a ton. But yeah, I really do need the financial support right now, as I'm gonna have to move out of my apartment. That's quite the shame. So we're kind of back to square one. Economy's a little bit fickle. What can I say? Oh well. But I will figure things out, and with your support, this could be an exciting opportunity, if the support is there. Thank you so much, Silver Trowel, Lone Star, and Yildrim for following. Hope you all enjoyed. Twist says, do you think that town patrol cost is well balanced? I think people generally never research it. I think the Byzantines should get it for free. I think they should get it for free. I do think that's probably slightly overcosted, but I don't think that's too much of a balance issue. But yeah, it's probably slightly overcosted. So, Lyson's going to engage versus Pete. Pete has a couple light cavalry in his army, and I think slightly fewer knights, but it's difficult to say because they're both blue and teal, but he will lose, though, due to the home field advantage. The single spearman, honestly, coming in here does cause some trouble. Do they both have bloodlines? Oh, they do. Bloodlines plus 2 defense, they're both even on upgrades. Yeah, and then 2 more knights will spawn out there, because they spawn out less than 30 seconds, so fewer than 30 seconds. So Pete will have to pull out because of the home field advantage. That was, I'd say, not a great trade for him, but one he probably had to take. And he didn't have any camels in his army. As to why he's not making camels, I mean, it makes sense, right? He's playing versus the Goths. For example, so infantry are a little bit more common, and neither of his opponents really have any knights in play. So if he's making camels, he would probably get slaughtered by the crossmen from Krzini, and the camels would not help versus the Huscarls and pikemen. However, there are a lot of knights in play from Lyson, actually, so I wonder if he will mix in some camels. Krzini's in Pete's base yet again, and these two are just bullying each other, just in each other's eco. And poor Krzini. I mean, the lack of an eco bonus for the Vietnamese makes them one hell of a lopsided weird civilization. And their bonus of revealing everyone at the start is just it's like how to lame 101. Weird civilization. I do wonder about them quite frequently. Now, the crossmen are here at the 42 HP immediately. This makes me really... Again, I recommend watching the civil reviews again, like especially for the Vietnamese, when I go over all the Archer tests. Because now, super different. This can have some metagame implications. I don't know, it's a small buff, but you'd be surprised at how much of a difference living 1 or 2 extra hits may be. And I'm curious in what realistic situations 1 or 2 hits may actually come into play. Because, of course, I could test everything in the scenario editor, but that doesn't give you an accurate depiction of the game. I could put 300 elephants versus 300 halberdiers, and, if no one's microing anything, and there was no gameplay prior to that, how practical is that? How do you get to 300 elephants? Who are your opponents? Are they sleeping? Are they okay? Should probably call some help. Q157 as Resonance22, create more villagers for your economic issues. Q157, you were correct. I will create more villagers. It's the most important advice you can give. French Dandy says, careful when Alt-Tab no sound for the game. Literally nothing I can do about that. Talk to the devs, French Dandy. I appreciate that. Camouflage asks, wondering how old you are. Legend has it you're 22. I was 22. I'm 23, turning 24. So, turning 24 quite soon. Ildrim says, hashtag not all camels. Actually, hashtag not all camel. Indeed, Archmajorch, good to see you again. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream, Trirem. Hello, T-West. Oh, it's 5% for towers. That's a massive nerf, good god. Justuma says, didn't the poor accuracy of the Arambai make it better when fights with a lot of units because the units would only hit one other enemy unit? Watch my civilization overview on the Burmese where I show you how accuracy works and the Arambai work, and why that unit is so strong. Essentially, if the projectile misses and hits another target, it deals 50% damage, and since they have such a high base damage, it creates an actually interesting unit. If you're having trouble dealing with Arambai, ranged units are your friend. I think the trickiest thing about them, I mean, I think it was really good that we reduced the movement speed of them. I think that was a really smart change. Because we don't want them outpacing knights, but it's mostly their kite ability that makes them so strong. But yeah, their poor accuracy is not necessarily that awful. It's an interesting thing. Holy Scorpion Christ, what is going on? Do I get demonetized for that? I probably do. I get demonetized for everything I say. That knight, he's not dead, he's just sleeping. He fainted. He blacked out and he's going back to the Pokemon Center, guys. He's fine. He's fine. Please. Disney, please. Oh. Oof. Alright, do you have to show for corporate? Boy, do I love insert fast food restaurant here. I eat it every day. No heart palpitations at all. I am fine. Alright. Hopefully that solved that issue. Alright, any quick questions that I missed? If I did, feel free to tag me again. Tim K asked, are the balance changes in this patch already? They are in the beta currently. Feel free to... Hey, Hartful, good to see you. Feel free to ping me via Streamlabs. It's the best way to ask me questions during the game. Alright, so in here, Lyson going in for the kill of battering rams. This guy's way better than he appears, but I guess the Aoe2 HD rating freeze for, how many months was frozen? It was like 6-7 months? Yeah, I think that made a pretty significant impact on players' ELOs in Aoe2 HD, which makes hosting these community games really difficult. I'm trying to do it anyway, though, and with your support, we can still do them. I just need everyone's support. He's actually doing some serious aggression with battering rams. What I think is fascinating here is that no one's in the Imperial Age. 41 minutes. It's Arabia, so it's not super out of the ordinary. But I really love these intermediate skill level games as well. This is like high intermediate, and then just the general community games compared to super high level AoE2, where while I really like the Conquerors for things like Break the Meta, I feel like we see an unrelatable level of play as well as it's just really repetitive, I guess. Where here I see a lot of interesting things going on. The camel counter, I love to see that from Pete. I think that's the right decision to deal with these knights. I know he was hesitant to make them initially because it didn't really make that much sense for the matchup, but I think his army comp is actually excellent. I like this castle placement, protecting this wood, this gold, as well as those upper farms, because he's got this town center over here. But look at Pete's excellent defensive coverage and great base layout. Very efficient. Now, he is severely outnumbered, though, by the knights, so the knights are just pouring in. Like, this is when, if you're Lyson, you get that Cavalier upgrade, which is a really cheap upgrade, and a huge power spike. Definitely get it. This is some AI stuff. I don't know what's going on here. I guess it's just unit pathing, and they just path over there. Lyson's really good. Wow. He's even taken quite a bit of a beating this game, but he's been doing it at the cost of crippling Pete. You know, he's been essentially base trading. Oh, it reminds me, I got it. Oh, competitive StarCraft. Oof. Missed those days. Competitive Dota. Oof. Oh, so much fun. So much fun. But man, I'm too old for competitive StarCraft now. I guess it though. I don't know, who knows? I need to be able to branch out, definitely. As with the development cycle of Aoe2 HD effectively ending. I mean, yeah, we're getting a balance patch and like the ELO's been fixed, but you know, we don't have any devs at the moment. I definitely need to branch out. So your support for content that is not just Age of Empires 2 makes a colossal difference. A colossal difference if you humor that and leave a like. So really appreciate it. And also, it's important because it funnels new players into Age of Empires 2 from other games as well. So not only are you helping me, but you're also helping Age of Empires 2. Who are you not helping? That's the question. Now, that's a lot of knights. Cavalier upgrade, I'd love to see it. I really would. I feel like Paladin's really expensive, but Cavalier, if you have enough knights left over, maybe... Yeah, okay, like, if you had half of these knights left over, I'd still get Cavalier, honestly. Super cost efficient. Some pikemen are coming in from the Uckle for assistance. Now, Pete's still in the castle age. Just to take a look at his resource count here and see... Oh, he's actually not going to be able to get to imp this game, or at least anytime soon without some serious slinging from the Uckle. Now, the Uckle's the Koreans, not known for their strong eco. And he's also being attacked, which is not going to help him. So he's not going to be able to sling Pete, and Pete's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with the trebuchets, which are the stall breaker in Aoe2. There we go, here's a Cavalier upgrade. Excellent play from Lyson. Actually, excellent play from all these players, as well as Capbrand coming down from him. So I like to see, I feel like Pete's doing everything he can to stop the situation, but he needs help from the Uckle, and the Uckle is not able to provide help because, here we go. Here are the elite battle elephants. I don't think they're that good for the Vietnamese, but I really like that that we implemented my suggestion, which was to buff the unique tech for them. Chachras, yes, Chachras. Because not having husbandry for your, as well as blast furnace for your battle elephants is really rough. It's really rough. And I think that this gives them more identity as a civilization, definitely. So, I like that. You know, they got slow, but reasonably bulky battle elephants. So, poor the Uckle will not be able to defend. What do I think about his Scorpion choice earlier on? I think it's good. Like, the Scorpions actually have an attack bonus versus elephants. They have an attack bonus versus... They don't have an attack bonus versus archers, but the archers have no pierce armor. And they also don't do much damage to the 7 pierce armor of the Scorpion. So I actually do think that the Scorpion is a reasonable choice, definitely. Like, it's actually the secret tech versus these battle elephants. Like, not bad, not bad. But the Uckle just never really got his feet off the ground. I feel like he didn't get to booming enough. Let's go take a look at his overall pop count. Yeah, he didn't quite get enough villagers this game, and he needed to have a big enough economy, I think, to be able to sling Pete to Imp if they were going to have a chance here. And, you know, post-Imp Goths, guys, they are absolutely horrifying, absolutely horrifying. So, again, I try to do something on my channel for players of all skill levels. This commentary is obviously tailored for the more intermediate level of players, and I'm trying to figure out ways to better organize my content so we can create a better flow. So your feedback is appreciated. August is going to be the last, like, really rough month for me. Hopefully. Hopefully August is the end of all this madness, and I can either get back to work, or I can really invest some time in, you know, reorganizing and improving the channel. So everyone's feedback is super helpful in this regard. I might have to, if I could get, like, an artist to help me with thumbnails, I could probably, like, label each video by the style of commentary. But in the next match, we're going to talk more about the fundamentals of the game. So that way there's a little bit of something for everybody. But every match on my channel should be worth watching. I don't post anything that is bad. every match is worth watching. Everything has insight for players of all skill levels. And I try to provide as approachable of a commentary as possible, while also going in depth and really analyzing things. You know, instead of doing the traditional play-by-play, which is super easy to do. Well, it's not actually that easy to do. It really isn't. It's harder, though, to do the analytical style commentary, so hopefully you all learned something, and if you did, please let me know what it is. And if you enjoyed the video in general, for those of you watching live, thank you so much for the support, really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the stream so far, I will link you all my stuff, so check out my social, please. GG, well played. It is an excellent, excellent game indeed. Jinx said, we need an emote for you saying getting yourself demonetized. I agree. I agree. Let's do a demonetized emote. Yeah, I definitely need to, yeah, result. Now, seriously, like, StarCraft is one of the few games I've played where I have been... I mean, surely if some of you also played competitive StarCraft, you can attest to this. Like, I would physically injure myself if I played for too long. Like, I get sore. It's like Super Smash Bros. Melee. It's a rough game on you physically. It's rare that I play a game and I'm just like, oh, God. I need to play a game to take a break from this game. Aoe2 can honestly be like that too. It's really draining. And we see a lot of turnover in players because most players of this game are casual and not super good. Which is why I take the time, and I think it's really important that we support streamers that actually, and content creators that actually can explain concepts to newer players, because the average player in Aoe2 is not very good at this game. And they need that. Even on an esports tournament level, because a lot of people watch these tournaments as an onboarding point for them into the game. And if all they're hearing is jargon, and there's no actual analysis or explanation, then they're just going to leave. I believe that the ECL is a big opportunity, and Age of Empires 2 tournaments are a big opportunity in general for people to make the game more approachable for new players. That's what's going to keep Age of Empires 2 timeless and a staple game for, you know, hopefully the rest of our lives, is by supporting newer players. So, GG, well played. Let's go check out the achievements. Yeah, I gotta update my eye. This is gonna be brutal. Self-Diffusing Bomb says, you have the nicest voice I've ever heard. Really love watching games. Thank you so much, Self-Diffusing Bomb. Thank you so much. Camouflage says, yeah, ResonanceBot's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Camouflage says, thanks for the tip. I'll look further into ResonanceBot. Thank you to Henry for linking my bots. Henry, always doing a great job. Thank you, my man. Yeah, ResonanceBot is an excellent way to practice and learn the game if you're new for Aoe2 HD. I do need to update it for patch 5.8, which is going to take a lot of work, so like I said, any support's appreciated. I mean, I hate asking for it as much as you hate hearing it. And I would play that clip from CGP Grey where he talks about the bots are watching. You know, please leave a like in the comments. Share the video. Follow me on the social. Yeah, it's like, because that clip is legendary, and I can play it on stream, but I can't put that on YouTube, bro. I'll get copyright strike. But the bots are watching, the algorithms are watching, so I got to do it. And they forced my hand at a really awkward time to do a significant overhaul of ResonanceBot's codebase during a time when I'm just trying to keep the channel afloat. So yeah, I mean, really. Anything else? I mean, not using ad blocks is a step in the right direction. So, in this game, holy crap. Yakel and Pete both had exactly 84 villagers? I mean, this is basically this is one of the decisive factors here. I mean, Lyson was post-imp Goths. That's objectively a difficult thing to deal with. You see this reflected in the largest army size? I mean, I really feel like Pete did what he could, but in the end, he base traded with Krazini, which is really interesting if you think about it from a strategic standpoint, right? Because Krazini chose to base trade with Pete, and who was Pete? Pete was Lyson's flank. The adjacent player Lyson. The poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison. So what does that mean? Goths in the late game are really scary. Like, they have super cheap infantry they can just flood you with once they get their economy going. But they've got crap defenses and crap early game. So you bully them in the early game, you're pretty solid. Now, also, the Turks have an excellent Imperial Age. You know, they get in the Imperial Age, hand cannoneers, for example, champions, things that deal with the Goths really well. So by base trading and keeping Pete in the Castle Age, Crazzini really ensured that Lyson got to snowball that game out of control. And really just kind of take it out of Pete's hands. Like, there wasn't too much that he could really do there in that situation. And I think that was a great play by Crazzini, actually going for that type of base trade play, not really defending himself, because that allowed Lyson to boom up so much and keep the Turks in the Castle Age, where they're less threatening. Now, Crazzini did take a big beating there, but he did it for a good cause. And man, Lyson dominated this game as a result. And that was just a really good play going for that base trade. It's interesting because the Vietnamese are generally a more defensive civilization, so it's pretty cool to see them play that offensively. I think the Uckle also played a really good game there as well. But in the end, I think that he got caught a little bit off guard by just how good Lyson really was. And that Lyson's knight, his eco management, everything was just really, really strong. If we look at the age up time, he's only 1 second off of Pete's Castle Age time. And that's definitely significant indeed. Lyson was just a very powerful player, and the Uckle didn't have a large enough economy to 1v1 Crazzini later. If he was able to sling Pete, maybe that could have gone differently, but it was just a fantastic game nonetheless. I hope you all really enjoyed it. So thank you all so much for your support. Yeah, Pete definitely needed more villagers, but every time he tried to make one, they died. Oh, demonetized. Every time he tried to make one, they fainted from exhaustion. That's what that was. So Lyson was going for, what do they call that? An exhaustion rush, where, you try and tire your opponent out by making them do jumping jacks and yelling nonsense at them. So Lyson was verbally, I can't use the word assault because that would get me demonetized again. He was verbally badgering Pete with his, can't say military units or army, with his horse people. Yeah, so he was verbally badgering Pete's villagers as horse people, preventing them from gathering food from their res farms. So hopefully that makes sense. And if it does, feel free to also use Twitch clips and res quotes. Thank you all so much. Stay tuned, stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. We're going to run a quick commercial. Really appreciate everyone's support as always. Thank you. Sysmon says, didn't know that res. That sounds like harassment. Demonetized. No! No, 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 no! YouTube, please! No, don't! No! My sponsors! Gaius says, I just have a hard time hitting a big villager high. I can't keep producing villas, and I need the food for so many other things. It's tricky. It's tricky to get your eco balance correct, but it sounds like you probably need more farmers, and try and get your eco upgrades like double bit X, horse collar, and wheelbarrow will help out a lot with your vill production. So hopefully that makes sense. The horse people, they're strong, guys. They're strong. Stay tuned. Thank you, Bonnie Mercury and Hugh.